Today, we're talking about what's been on everybody's mind when it comes to Florida real estate, and that is what the heck happened with Hurricane Ian and how has that impacted the Florida real estate market? How should you be thinking about that as an investor? That's what we're getting into today. And it's a family affair. We have Michael Bouchard, we have Guy Bouchard here today. And both of these guys actually happened to be right in the eye of the storm when it came through in Punta Gorda. We lived through this recently, and we're gonna actually hear what is it like for investors. Hey, if the worst case scenario does happen and you do get hammered with a hurricane, how bad is it? How do you handle it? What does it look like? I'm gonna kick to you first, Michael. Talk to us about what was it like hunkering down in that hurricane, and then what was the aftermath like from a property management and investor perspective?
As far as just hunkering down in that storm, it was quite the experience. Let me tell you, it was just hours and hours of wind. I believe the wind started around 10 a.m. and it didn't finish till about 11 p.m. So that was just a complete nightmare. But as far as how the city did, it did really well for most of it. And, what I would say, just as far as my experience, is just having someone on the ground would be hugely important for you as far as property management companies, just to get you updates, get you exactly what you need, get tarps on your roof as soon as possible if you did have damage. Everything like that would just be hugely important, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's amazing and it's interesting because I had heard we cover a lot of Central Florida and the Southwest Coast and different areas of Florida, but personally now living in Punta Gorda, have the eye come over the city twice. One of the interesting stats that I keep telling people is that since 1950, there has been 7 4 or 5 level hurricanes to hit mainland Florida. And we're a huge state. If you look at the panhandle all the way across, we got 2 coasts on the Gulf, we got coasts on the Atlantic. But the reality is that, I've been in Florida since 1984 to show my age, and I've experienced some from Central Florida and from different areas. And they're real and they're powerful. There's no question. This one was, you're saying, potentially a once in a 500-year storm. Let's hope we don't see another one again. But if and when you do, yeah, Michael nailed the nail on the head. What we did is we stayed on the ground, make sure all our homeowners were taken care of, all the tenants were taken care of. One of the other really interesting facts about living here in a town that experienced a hurricane in 2004, Charlie, which actually affected Central Florida as well, is that I was told that the rents went up massively after Charlie, even before this event happened. And there was just an absolute shortage of usable homes. So even if you affect 5% of the homes, that's an enormous impact on the market. And we're seeing that already. Our short-term rental stuff in Southwest Florida, we're renting homes with no pool enclosures and tarps on the roofs. From the insurance aspect, Blake, it's really fascinating because I've got a lot of friends and clients that own properties, and we're seeing it all over the gamut. Some insurance companies are being what seems to be very unrealistic or unfair. Some are just stroking huge checks. So there's no consistent way I can tell an investor, this is what's going to happen to you. You just need to make sure you got good coverage. One of the little tips I would say is, again, depending on what you're looking for and where you're looking in Florida, a lot of Florida is pretty low. And if you're an investor or for somebody on a little bit more conservative budget, you may want to stay out of the flood zones. Even right here in Charlotte County, there's a lot of areas that aren't flood zone. Obviously, if you want to be waterfront, you're a boater, you're a beach person, then maybe you go there anyways. And there's ways to mitigate that risk. There are new construction. The amazing thing is, just as an example, I have a not cheap house that we own, and my insurance is incredibly inexpensive because the insurance companies know that the odds of this home taking on any real damage is minimal because of the standards it was built to. I owned a home that was built in the mid 80s and the insurance was basically double. And this one is worth more than double that home. So there's a lot of factors that go into the game. And that's why, again, not to promote our channel, you got people who have decades and decades of experience in buying and selling real estate and helping people buy and sell real estate. We can help them make the best decision to meet their goals. I think some of what we're going to see, to answer your direct question, Blake, is people think what we're seeing already is the high end doesn't seem to be affected hardly at all. It's a tight market. Things are churning. On the lower end, I'm seeing homes sit on the market. I'm seeing price reduction. There's a window here where I think that when recording this, we're about a month away from the storm. And I think there's a little lag in the investors jumping in and buying some of these homes, understanding that the rents have gone crazy. I just got a call from referral from our insurance agent, a gentleman whose home was severely damaged in the historic district of Punta Gorda, and he needs a place. He's going to rebuild it, and he needs a place for a year, year and a half. He was blown away because this community that D.R. Horton did, with very entry level community that was signed in the, I think, around low 200s 3-4 years ago. Prices in there now are in the high 3s to 500, and the rents are 3,500. And so again, you can do the math, and those could be really good investments, but the point is, we're already seeing a huge demand in the rental market for a lot of people that follow the storms too, which is interesting. I've seen contractors from all over the United States. We have adjusters in town. We have all of these people running our homes short-term and long-term. So the supply side is really tight. So I think there is great opportunity in this market for somebody. But again, there are a lot of twists and turns to it. So you need an expert to really guide you through, to figure out whether you should be in the game and where you should be in the game. Florida has an incredibly diverse pricing structure of, there's still homes in the 100,000 range all the way up to, obviously we have, 20 and $50 million homes. And Florida is a magnet for the world. And like we said earlier, 1,000 people a day have moved here. And they said that may have been even greater last year for a bunch of different reasons. We're dealing with potentially the perfect positive storm for Florida, in that you've got the baby boomers hitting peak retirement years, you've got the work from home movement, you've got the great resignation, and you've got internationally, it's one of the most beautiful, most attractive places we've dealt with the international market for 30, 40 years. And they, depending on their currencies, come here and want to have second home or even permanently relocate here. So again, Florida's not going to stop growing. Some people will move out of the state because of the storm. And some people, there's unknowns with what insurance premiums are going to be, what the state's going to do. So there are some hurdles. It's not neat and clean, but it's definitely, I think it's a huge opportunity in Southwest Florida right now, post Ian hurricane.
So a lot of, I think, nuggets in there. One is that these kind of major storms are pretty rare, even though the news kind of makes it feel like it's maybe more common than it is. This kind of damage is actually pretty rare. But number two, it's seeing that, hey, historically, we actually see appreciation rates increase the year after a storm comes through compared to the rate that the appreciation was at before then. So there's a lot of empirical data on that in Florida, which is just kind of boggling. A lot of it could be because inventory is so affected. You mentioned rental rates have actually usually always increased because inventory is affected. And then, Michael, I guess let me ask you, so positioning back to a potential investor who maybe they haven't started investing in Florida yet, but they want to, and they also think the other places I'm investing, maybe it's Midwest right now, I don't have to worry about hurricanes. How would you advise them in the aftermath of such a big storm like that?
One thing I would tell an investor about Florida's market is it is strong. It is appreciated 25% year over year in the last 2 years. The storm, it's amazing when you're on the ground what you saw, the amount of people together, whether it was the roofers, contractors, everything. It is coming back. It's going to be bigger and stronger than ever. So I would say Florida, it's a great time to get in. Like Guy said, with the appreciation value after a storm is huge. It's good for long-term rentals right now. It's good for short-term rentals right now. It's just a great opportunity to win in the storm.
Yeah, elaborate on that a little bit. What you were saying, Blake, is, think about all the people, the thousands of people that were going to rent in Fort Myers Beach and in Sanibel, and in what didn't get talked about is Cape Coral had a lot of flooding. Even we have friends that had 6 feet of water in their house in Fort Myers proper, near the downtown city, which is on the river. Those didn't get as highlighted, but there was a lot of homes with serious damage, and it's going to take quite a while to cover on some of those. And as a side note, as an investor, that's another thing to be cautious about, because we can maybe steal some of those homes, but putting them back together is going to be a struggle just because of getting good contractors and materials. So it might be a future video if we solve that puzzle. But anyway, so going back to the center point of why real estate's going to go crazy, and especially in we've always felt is some of these hidden gem communities in these hidden gems. This little pocket between Sarasota and Fort Myers that is just kind of undiscovered country, and people have been really finding it. And there's a spectrum of pricing and quality of product. But what, my theory is with the people in Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel, those people aren't going to sit on the sidelines, and especially if they're elderly and they know got less runway ahead of them than they do behind them. They're not going to sit and wait and stay in the Midwest or the Northeast in the winter and hope and pray their house gets done in a year. I think a lot of those people with the amount of financial capability are, and we're seeing it already, are going to buy in the nicer communities around the other way. Now they may end up going back in 2-3 years when, like Michael said, when Fort Myers and Sanibel gets built better than it ever was to the new construction standards and brand new product and brand new commercial. Those places are going to be outstanding. When that happens, I don't know. But they are, by the way, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos and they're absolutely determined. The people are staying. Most of them, they're determined to make it better than it ever was. And the spirit, the human spirit, like Michael was touching on too, is just amazing through the storm. But yeah, from a financial point of view, we do have to talk about that. This is the point of our channel, is there's going to be thousands and thousands of people that were planning on wintering here that don't have a place to winter now. And there's thousands and thousands of people that will not be able to get a quality home like they had for a year or two. So there's not that many great affordable markets across Southwest and Western Tampa area. So those good quality properties, I think we're going to get a serious quick bump. And then once those other markets heal, who knows, maybe we flatten out a little bit and then they start coming up a lot, or they leapfrog us because they'll be brand new, amazing, and everything. But yeah, I just don't see a scenario where Florida doesn't continue to grow and be a great market and a great place to live.
We're obviously bullish on it, but we're bullish on it for a reason. And we've seen the history of this. Like you said, you've been here for a few decades now. And it is jarring. As I think about it from an investor perspective, it's like, hey, worst case scenario, yes, your home gets leveled like you saw on the news. That's the worst case scenario. That's why insurance is important. That's why, to make sure you have the right coverage, that is important. You also have loss of rental income. That should be a part of your coverage too, right? So that's the worst case scenario if your home gets leveled. The thing that could happen is you take a direct hit and you don't get leveled, but you do have some damage. And that's where I know we have lived a lot in Southwest Florida the last month, is helping. That's the vast majority of the inventory that we help take care of for some of our investors, is their home wasn't totaled, but it had some damage. And what you're telling me is, and we've experienced it, we've been able to keep those things renting. Even the short-term rental units, we've been able to get those back online within a week or two, which is pretty impressive. And the long-term rental units keep trucking along, like not missing any income there. And on the flip side, the irony of it, and this is just the reality of these kind of storms, is it actually does create opportunity and value for investors when your home is rentable. So if it's not rentable, worst case scenario, you should have insurance that's covering you for that loss of rental income plus the rebuild. It's terrible, it stinks, but it can happen. If you do have a rentable unit, which is the vast majority of investors in our area, right? Their home is still rentable, even if it had some damage. They're actually seeing value right now because the demand for that housing has actually gone up even higher. And the overall long-term demand to be in this state, to live in this state, is just continuing to trend upwards. So this has been a great discussion. And I think, is there anything else you want to add to it, Michael or Guy?
I think I'm good right now.
Yeah, I think we covered it well. Yeah, and again, if anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we're happy to have a discussion one-on-one with anybody who has some more questions, wants to do a little deeper dive. All of us are very much huge fans of Florida. We believe that the pros way outweigh the cons, and again, some of it is selecting properties. Some properties are very invulnerable to even a Category 4, almost 5 hurricane, and some are very vulnerable. It just can mitigate your risk that way as well. But yeah, we'll look forward to talking further about all these opportunities in Florida.
That's right. So if you have any further questions about this, you can drop us a comment, send us a message. You'll have the links in the show notes, and we look forward to connecting. Until next time. See you later.
I'll see you.